The Baltimore Ravens and the Dallas Cowboys. Now, both these teams are coming off pretty crushing losses, with the Ravens coming off a 26-23 loss to the Las Vegas Raiders, while the Cowboys, we talked about it last week, got out, or was it Tuesday, got smothered by the New Orleans Saints, was it 44-19? Absolutely destruction on the side of the New Orleans Saints. And then the Raiders, I mean, the pressure on Lamar Jackson, my God. The offensive line couldn't hold up. What team do you think needs this win more, the Dallas Cowboys or the Baltimore Ravens?
I think the Ravens need it more. They're 0-2, right? They can't go 0-3. I mean, they need to have the home field. They need to have that bye. They got it last year, and they won a playoff game as a result of it, and they played the Chiefs very, very tough. They lost 17-10. They beat themselves, actually, with miscues late in the game in the red zone. So they have to have that home field advantage. They have to have that bye. And starting out 0-2 makes it look like they may not get it. It's going to be very hard to do. If they go 0-3, there's no way they would get it. And there's a chance then, will they make the playoffs? That'll be a question mark, too. So to me, this is a bigger game for the Ravens than it is for the Cowboys. But I've been looking at some of the pregame discussion here and what the Cowboys are saying. There's a warning from Dak Prescott to the players. He said, we just got to go out there and play our best. It's week 3. It's about a process. We can't get overwhelmed by what people are writing about us. It's simply a process that we've got to focus on getting better each and every day with the right attitude, that we come in here, understand that we're trying to put the best versions of ourselves out on the field every Sunday, regardless of what happened last Sunday. It's the NFL. That was his message to the players. And then Jerry Jones, there's been a lot of discussion here about the running backs, saying that they haven't got a running game at all and that they need to go out and get somebody. Jerry Jones's comment was, running back is not on our radar screen as far as an area of interest. I must tell you that this is a little bit of a first for me, because I've never seen such made of our position and what we're doing at that position. Running back this year, not having done this or that, having done that at running back. We've got a pretty good contemporary of our competition, Derrick Henry, this week, and Zeke Elliott. Both of these guys came out of at the same time. I'm pleased with what Zeke is doing. Well, he may be pleased, but he did sign Dalvin Cook to the practice squad, so maybe we'll see him get out on the field. And Dak Prescott just got his $240 million contract. Well, let's see where he's ranked on quarterback ranking right now after 2 weeks. Dak Prescott, number 22, with a 43.5 QBR rating. Hey, that ain't $60 million a year quarterback performance, that's for sure. And he knows. He admitted there's no more excuses. He's got to deliver a Super Bowl now with the contract that he's got. It's a reality check now for them, given the way they played against the Saints. Look at that. They were at home. I mean, was it the last couple of years at home? They're hard to beat. They rarely lose a game at home, and they got wiped out. And that's a question for Mike Zimmer now, as their defensive coordinator. I mean, they had a very good game the first game against the Browns. Deshaun Watson looked terrible. They had a lot of pressure on him. They couldn't do anything against Derek Carr. Where was Mike Zimmer? Where was Micah Parsons? What happened to the defense that was so suffocating on week 1? It was a sieve on game 2. Is this going to be a repeat performance, or are they going to go back to the way they played in game 1? I think they better go back to the way they played in game 1, or people are going to start questioning whether Zimmer is the right coach for their defense. Are the Cowboys looking for a new running back? We'll see. I think if the continued performance is poor from Zeke and the rest of those guys who are no names, then I'm sure Dalvin Cook will get a look, and if he can't do it, Jerry Jones will probably be out there looking for a trade. I think on the other side, the Ravens, they dropped an easy matchup against the Raiders. How could they lose to the Raiders? I don't get it. I mean, the Raiders controlled it.
I got an answer.
Well, we'll hear your answer in a second. The Ravens need to cut down on the penalties. That's too much. They have way too many penalties. They got to limit CeeDee Lamb because that's really the only offensive weapon they have beside Dak Prescott. The Ravens struggle against the elite pass rusher. Chris Jones raised a lot of problems for them, and so did Max Crosby.
There's your answer.
Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons will probably try to do the same. Will he be able to? We'll wait and see.
Well, there's your answer. They can't stop a good pass rush. Chris Jones, Micah Parsons, Christian Wilkins against a right guard that is no good, and a right tackle that's done an okay job, but overall is extremely young. He's a rookie, so obviously you expect him to at least struggle a little bit when it comes to a very, very good pass rush that they faced in 2 straight games. The offensive side the defensive side of the Ravens is a massive question mark because I think the loss of Patrick Queen is showing itself, especially in the coverage. It's definitely the Ravens here. The Ravens definitely need to win this game because in the history of the Baltimore Ravens, like it says in the lower third, this is the first time since 2015 they're 0-2. They've never made the playoffs going 0-2. And we entered even in week 1 saying that if you lost in the playoffs to the previous season and against the team and you played them in week 1 in your opening game, you do not make the playoffs. You have a 500 or below record. And I think that is another opportunity. The Ravens will be another team added to that list because it's looking like that. Right guard can't hold up for nothing. What I've said since the Derrick Henry move, the Derrick Henry acquisition was the carry split is going to be incredibly difficult to manage because the more carries you give Derrick Henry, the better he is. Lamar Jackson, we saw him in week 1. All he was doing was scrambling. They barely used Derrick Henry at all in the second half. And when they did, it was so blatantly obvious that they were running the football because, I was about to say Gus Edwards. Justice Hill would come in, by the way, got an extension today. Congratulations to you. Every time he came in, they were going to pass the football. So it became extremely obvious what scheme they were doing. If it's Derrick Henry, run. Justice Hill, pass. And that is on constant repeat. That is blatantly obvious what the Ravens are going to do. So what Derrick Henry and what Todd Monken needs to do is say, hey, we're going to use Derrick Henry a lot more. We're going to keep him out there a lot more. Yes, he's 30 years old, but there's a reason why you got him. You weren't going to go and get the scraps. You weren't going and fighting for Josh Jacobs. You weren't fighting for Aaron Jones. No, you decided to get Derrick Henry because of his massive reputation and how you thought he would fit into your offense. John Harbaugh said the reason of getting Derrick Henry was not to hand the ball off to him 30 times. Well, that's kind of where he excels at. So if you're not using him properly, his effectiveness is going to plummet. But when it comes to Lamar Jackson, and just over the Baltimore Ravens, but especially Lamar Jackson, I don't worry that much about this game. They're favorites on the road against the Cowboys team that got torched by Derek Carr, who over the past couple seasons has gained no respect, lost a bunch of it because of what happened in Las Vegas / Oakland, and then his first year with the Saints, it didn't look pretty. So the expectations weren't that high, and then he explodes in this season, scoring 91 points in the first 2 weeks. But when it comes to Lamar Jackson specifically, his career versing the NFC is ridiculous. These are the career splits between the AFC and the NFC. You could see that his NFC production, he's 20-3 since becoming the official starter. He's 20-1. But look at this, 34 touchdowns to only 8 interceptions and 98 pass rate. Now, he's actually a pretty consistent quarterback. But overall, he beats the NFC, beats the crap out of the NFC, and I think that's in large part due to the fact that the NFC doesn't play Lamar Jackson that often. So figuring out what works against him, trying things out. It's once in a blue moon that you're going to play Lamar. So I'm expecting the Ravens to win here because they desperately need a win. The Cowboys, against good teams, which is another reason why I'm going to be picking the Ravens in this game, is that if the Ravens are the team that we think, and they're supposed to be a good team, Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys struggle against good teams. Micah Parsons disappears. Dak Prescott, horrible. Interceptions, poor play. Once he gets down a bunch, basically the entire offense shuts down, and the defense is exhausted from getting torched all the time. So I'm expecting the Ravens to win because that's what Lamar does against the NFC. Now, he did lose to the only official loss that he had since becoming the star for the Ravens was against Daniel Jones. I actually saw the replay of that game recently. Not great. But yeah, no, I'm thinking about this for 2 seconds too when it comes to Derrick Henry. Alvin Kamara hadn't rushed for over 100 yards since week 5 of 2022. He ran for 115 yards against Dallas. If Derrick Henry can get zero production, that's just a failure. That's an overall failure of offensive line, of Derrick Henry, of scheme. I don't know what it is. But if there's one key piece that needs to be added to Todd Monken's scheme, it's run the damn football. I don't care if Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson and even Justice Hill combine for 45 carries. Do it. Because Dallas struggles against the run. They give up 141.5 rushing yards a game. They're not great. And also, Mozzie Smith is dealing with an injury. He won't be 100%. He had a tightness in his back, I believe, in practice earlier this week. Run the football. The interior defensive line of the Cowboys is getting torched. According to PFF, they have some of the lowest grades in their given positions. So the only way that the Ravens could seriously screw this up is pull an AFC championship game against the Chiefs. Have Lamar sit there and pass it 35 times and not use the running game at all. So if the Ravens are going to win this game, the way that they're going to win is by running the football. Because that's going to work based on the numbers. Dak Prescott, if he gets down, will shut down ultimately. But I think it's just unfortunate that we see two absolutely great talents. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are phenomenal in their own right. But as I expected, the battle between carries is affecting each performance. Lamar Jackson always looks great, but is at the detriment of Derrick Henry, who looks right now like a wasted signing because his production is very close to basically negligible for what he should be. He should be a significantly better running back on a team that has led the league in rushing for several years. Then you bring in Todd Monken, and it's more pass-heavy. And then when you need it, you stick with the pass instead of going back to what Lamar and the offense always knows, which is very, very good running.
What do you think about Lamar Jackson's quarterback rating so far? He's number 16, 55.2. Really has not played that great yet.
Well, his offensive line can't hold up. John Harbaugh has screwed him over. The late game calling it there about this. Again, another example against the Raiders. Fourth quarter up double digits and you fall. That's on coaching. Lamar could do all he can, but if he's not getting help on the offensive line, if the scheme is, let's sit back in the pocket and hope Max Crosby doesn't take off your head, then what are you supposed to do? You're going up against Micah Parsons. And by the way, John Harbaugh took a shot at Ben Cleveland. I think a lot of people are expecting a change at the right guard, and you're calling out Ben Cleveland. That's saying they didn't beat out the guy. He couldn't be much worse. Because the right side of the offensive line needs a lot of work. And if you're going up against Micah Parsons, I don't even think doubling him would do much. So, yeah, the offensive line will get torched. It's just about what Todd Monken draws up. Are you going to do some sort of inside zone run with Derrick Henry? Please do. Use him. He should get 25 to 30 carries in this game because that's the only... I don't care if you're down by 3 with 5 minutes left. Run the football because that's what's going to work.
Yeah, and then go to the play action.
Lamar, I mean, they don't really use play. It's a very heavy just drop back and throw the football.
Well, it's more of an option type offense where Lamar's back there, gets the ball, and he decides what to do, whether to pass it or run it. And now they have Derrick Henry. You're right. They haven't really figured out the chemistry there and how to make it work best for them. I agree with you. He should be getting more carries.
Well, I think when it comes down to it, I'm looking up Pro Football Focus. Lamar Jackson, when it comes to play action percentage, he's 25th in the league at 19%. Malik Willis, who is, I guess, is technically qualified already, he's run more play action than Lamar Jackson. We have guys, Jacoby Brissett has run more play action. Deshaun Watson has run more play action.
Yeah.
Will Levis has run more play action. Will Levis actually does pretty well generally in the play action. But, yeah, no, like, Lamar doesn't run play action. It's not a part of Todd Monken's scheme. And if you don't run the football, what does play action do for you? Not much. And honestly, you're going to run play action with Justice Hill, not with Derrick Henry. You got to use Derrick Henry, put him on more snaps than you have been, because then you actually got to make him into a serious threat in both games, the passing and the running game. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.